Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lora Rolling and this is part 5 of the Merry Christmas ornament tutorial. This is the Merry Christmas ornament that we are making. It is so cute with all its little colorful lights everywhere. And today we're going to be making the unit called Fifth Lowlights. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 4 yet, that's okay. You can watch these out of order. I'll have those videos listed down below in the description. That way when you finish this one, then you can go back and watch those. We just have a few materials to get ready, so let's get them listed and then we can get started. Let's go. The beads that we're going to be using in today's video are all Miyuki Delicas. I have opaque black, silver lined green, dyed silver lined red, purple lined crystal, and silver lined light blue. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to call this black, green, red, purple, and blue. We'll also need some beading thread and a beading needle. I like to use the Eslon Fire in the color Crystal, and this is 4-pound thread, but you could use 6-pound thread also. And then I like to use a size 10 beading needle. If all you have is an 11 or 12, then you can use those size needles also. For implements, I like to use my long nose pliers to hold onto my thread at the end, and then I use my scissors to cut my thread. And then at the beginning, I'm going to show you how I use the fire method to end the tail. That's all we need to start this project, so let's thread our needle with 3 feet of thread, and then we can get started. So I've threaded my needle and now I'm ready to pick up my first 3 beads. I'm going to pick up 2 green and 1 black bead. Just like that. Now I'm going to take these 3 beads and I'm going to pull them down to the bottom of my thread, leaving about a 6-inch tail. Now I'm going to tie a square knot. So I'm going to cross over on the top and then pull my tail through. And then I'll do that again. I'm going to cross over on top and pull my tail through. So now we have what looks like a little snowman. I'm going to put my 2 fingers in the bottom loop, the one that has the beads in it. And then I'm going to pull on the tail thread and the long thread until that top loop turns into a knot. Just like that. Now I'm going to take my tail thread and I'm not going to touch it to the flame, but I am going to get super duper close so that it melts the tip. And it turns that tip into this little teensy knot or bead. Now, pulling on the long thread while my 2 fingers are twisting the circle or the loop until that little knot at the end of the tail meets the long thread, just like that. Now I'm going to take my thumbnail and I'm going to pull that knot down to my beads until the beads are in this little teensy triangle, and that completes row number 1. Now it looks like the knot is right in between the black bead and the green bead, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tug the thread until the knot is, it looks like it's coming out of the black bead now. And it also looks like the thread is coming out of the black bead. So now let's pick up our next 2 beads, which are both black. Now it looks like our thread is coming out of the black bead, so I'm going to sew through the green bead. And then I'm going to try to get those two beads to sit on top of their buddies, the ones that are right underneath them. Just like that. Now let's pick up two more black beads. And our thread's coming out of this bead, so let's sew through the next bead. And once again, we're going to try to get those two new beads to sit right on top of their buddies. Now let's pick up two more black beads. And we're coming out of this green bead. Let's sew through the next bead, which is black. And then we'll also sew through the black bead that's right underneath it. When we sew through two beads, that means that we are stepping up to the next row, which means that we've completed row number 2, and now we're ready to start row number 3. Let's start row number 3 by picking up two black beads and sew through the next bead. Now let's pick up one green bead and sew through the up bead. Now I call it the up bead because if you notice, this green bead right here is set downward. We're going to skip that one and we're going to sew through the bead that's poking up. That's what we call the up bead. And I'll be calling it the up bead all the way through. Alrighty, so now we can pick up two more black beads and sew through the next bead. Now I'm going to pick up one green. We're going to skip that green bead that's set downward. We're going to sew through the one that's poking up, our up bead. Now let's pick up two black beads and sew through the next. And now we'll pick up one black bead. This is the last bead in this row. So we're going to skip the down bead. We're going to sew through the up bead and the bead right under it. Sewing through those last two beads means that we are stepping up, and now we get to start row number 4. Let's start by picking up two black beads and sew through the next. Now we'll pick up one black and sew through the up bead, one green and sew through the up. Let's pick up two black beads and sew through the next. One black and sew through the up. One black and sew through the up. Two black and sew through the next. One black and sew through the up. And our last bead in this row is one black. We'll sew through the up bead and the bead below it, which are the last two beads in this row. And now now we are ready to start row number 5. Let's start by picking up 2 black beads. Then we'll pick up 1 black, one black, one black, then 2 black beads, one black, one green, one black, two black beads, one black, one black, and one black. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 6. Let's start by picking up 1 green and 1 black. One black, one black, one green, one black, two black beads, one black, one green, one green, one black, two black, one black, one black, one green, and one green. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 7. Let's start by picking up 1 green and 1 black. One black, one black, one black, one green, one black, two black beads, one black, one black, one green, one black, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 purple, 1 green, and 1 green. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 8. Let's start by picking up 1 green and 1 black. One black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 red, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 green, 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 purple, 1 purple, 1 black, and 1 black. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 9. Let's start by picking up 1 blue and 1 black. One black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 red, 1 red, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 purple, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black. Sewing through the last 2 beads, and now we get to start row number 10. Let's start with 1 blue and 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 red, 1 black, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 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 1 black and 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 purple, 1 purple, 1 black, 1 black, and 1 blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads, and now we get to start row 11. Let's start with 2 green beads, 1 black, 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 1 red, 1 red, 1 black, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 2 green beads, 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 1 green, 1 purple, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, and 1 blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 12. Let's start with 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 green, 1 red, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 2 black beads, 1 black, 1 green, 1 green, 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 blue, and 1 blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads, and that completes our 12 rows of our triangle. If this is the first triangle that you've done with me, I add connection beads on some of the sides, and then some of them don't get connection beads, and that is just so that we can connect the units together and then form our entire ornament by connecting all the units together. So in order to make those connection beads happen, sometimes we're going to have them on one side or another, but sometimes we're not going to have them on the sides at all. So in this particular unit, we're going to have no beads on this side. We are going to have beads on this side, and then we're going to have no beads on the top. So the first thing we need to do is cap the corner with 1 black bead. And now, because we're not going to have any beads on this side, we just need to sew through all the beads until we get to this bead right here. So what I like to do is turn my unit over, and I just like to follow the line. As long as you're catching 1 bead at a time, you're not picking up any new beads, you're not adding any new beads. We're just sewing through 1 bead at a time, making sure that we're sewing through 1 row each time. Then that will hide our thread, and we won't be able to see the thread at all. And then we will be able to work our way all the way up, and we'll end in this bead right here. And this is usually when I do the question of the day or the emoji of the day, and today is the emoji of the day. So let's do an emoji. If you've gotten this far, then stop for a moment and pause the video, and then comment your favorite Christmas emoji. I am so curious as to what emoji you use more often during the Christmas season. I'd love to see that. I personally use that Christmas tree or the Santa Claus a lot, but I think I use the Christmas tree more than anything. So, alrighty. I can't wait to see what emojis you come up with. So fun. Alrighty, so I'm still just working my way all the way up, and you don't have to sew through the same beads that I am. As long as you're hiding your thread and you're working your way up to the top and you end in coming out of this bead right here, then that's all that really matters. Now that we are up at this corner, let's pick up 1 black bead and we will cap this corner. And it turns it into a little point. And now we're going to add beads all the way down this row. So first, let's add 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, 1 green, 1 black, 1 black, 1 black, and 1 green. Now we just have to add 1 black to this corner, turning it into a point, and now we get to just sew up 6 beads without adding any more beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to do something I like to call the zigzag. We're coming out of the top of this bead. We're going to sew down the bead right next to it. And then we're going to sew up the bead right next to that one. Now let's sew up 2 more beads, 1 and 2, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to zigzag. So we're coming out of the top of this bead. Let's sew down the bead right next to it. And then sew up the bead right next to that one. Now let's sew up 2 more beads. And by doing those zigzags, we've really secured this last bead that we added. It's not going to get loose and come off or anything like that. So let's cut our thread. Let's pick up our thread with our long nose pliers and then get our scissors as close to the bead as possible, but don't cut the bead, just cut the thread. And it pops right off just like that. Now we have completed our 5th low lights unit. We only need one of these low lights unit, the 5th low lights unit for this project. So I will see you in a second. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here with me today and beading along with me. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell button so you're notified when the next video comes out. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks for watching.